neither of them could go because there was this stream of traffic coming in, and they just did not have any space at all to join the queue. They had to wait until an awful lot of traffic had gone by. But Toyota's at pit in, so you come into the pit lane and there your garage awaits. Others prefer to be at pit out, but at either end you've got a little bit more space on either side. So
better track conditions now, as we've had so much rain. It was effectively starting from scratch, wasn't it, on the green circuit, and they're now on dry conditions, starting to lay the rubber down. That's why we're seeing purple sectors coming up left, right, centre, and Alex Lynn on the soft tyres average 3:32.7, not fast enough.
Kevin Estre, you've just got out of the number 6 Porsche Penske. It's difficult conditions out there. I can see on your face that it's not sitting too well with you.
Yeah, I mean, the conditions are okay. It's a little bit of rain here and there, especially Mulsanne, Indianapolis, Arnage. So you're never fully confident when you see rain coming at 320 and you have to brake. But the stint went okay, a bit better than the previous one, but still we won soft. I think Pierre Guidi was on medium. We were hoping for a little more rain. That's why we put softs to make sure that we're okay on a damp condition. But in the end, it was just not enough, I think. Let's see, we're giving it everything, but it looks like we just don't have the outright pace to fight with the top 3-4 there.
What did you go on to when you done the driver change?
Not sure. Lawrence took a new set of tire, but I didn't see I was taking out my helmet, so I don't know.
And what else can you do? Is there anything else you can do as a team?
What we can do is
hope for rain.
Yeah, hope for rain probably is the only thing which can save us and put us back in this pack of 3-4 guys. Yeah, we'll do everything, but on the dry, I think we are at the limit. We cannot do much better, and it seems that the other has a bit the upper hand, which they didn't show so much in practice. So we'll see.
Great, thank you.
Thank you.
Yeah, I think Kevin Estre's. He has spotted what we've identified as well through the average lap times. They're there within striking distance if anything were to go wrong for the car we're riding on board with, or the 2 Toyotas and car 51, of course, as well. That's where this race is. It's between Ferrari and Toyota.
A record-extending 20th victory looks on, said the press about Porsche before the race. 12 months on, it's a different story from last year. The manufacturer is on a roll. The tide has truly turned for the German manufacturer's latest sports car programme. It's not been the race that Porsche expected. It's not been the race the media centre expected, perhaps.
This race chooses its victor.
It does indeed. So, Kevin Estre, we used the phrase already, there or thereabouts, but lacking that ultimate pace. And so Ferrari versus Toyota to the end. On pit stops for now, at least, 38 Hertz Team Jota. Porsche is up into the mix as we wait for number 50 Ferrari to blast back into the race.
I think even if we do see a safety car towards the end and it bunches it all back up, I think we'll just see the Ferrari and the Toyota, even if it's tenths, they've just got that ability just to pull away and overtake. So I think we're right, but I wouldn't rule them out quite yet. And still, I'm saying it's a 2-horse race, and I think he's right. But I don't know. I'm still hanging in there with my canny prediction. I'm just going for it. I'm just going for it.
Is this a 2-prancing horse race?
It could well be. Yeah, it could be. Very good.
Car 50 once again going straight across the middle of the chicane. It's only a matter of time before you'll see a warning flag for that. It was the final chicane just a couple of laps ago. Now it was the Dunlop chicane. Yeah, look. Well, that's. Did we actually see any overtaking there in that process? Was it an overtake off track? Or did he filter him back behind? No, he filtered just behind him.
But that's where you're going to be unlucky. You keep doing that, you're going to pick up a puncture. There's a bit of carbon debris sat there, and we've seen punctures for other cars. It could well be that could be something you've got to avoid as well.
That was straight out of the pits, wasn't it, for Miguel Molina? So again, that closing speed of a hypercar on a quick LMGT3 entry. LMGT3 at the moment being headed by number 31, Sean Gelael. There'd be some karma in this, wouldn't there, after his involvement in that big accident at Spa, the innocent party of it. But at the moment, the Team WRT BMW leads the class from Richard Lietz's Porsche and Mikael Pedersen's Proton Mustang. I'm not suggesting Sean Gelael will stay in the lead of the class, but a podium would be a pretty decent outcome. And WRT and BMW as a whole has had a pretty grotty race.
Sean Galil actually quick, but not quite as quick as Richard Leitz on the last lap, although Leitz, well, he's up on this lap as well, so Richard Leitz on the charge.
On board with Brendan Hartley, he's got the Mustang in front of him into the second chicane. It's always a painful part of the track to catch slower cars. You'll go around the outside here and you run right over that the white dotted line. The car can comfortably run that part. It's not bumpy part of the track, so you're going slower as well. So I think the GTs almost expect that you're going to go around the outside there of them. He now carries that speed in towards Mulsanne corner. We can hear from car 51, Pierre Guidi.
15 seconds behind Toyota. 15. Let's go for it, mate.
Oh, fighting talk. I like it.
Blue touch paper lit.
Go get him, Pierre Guidi.
But at this stage, 2.5 hours to go. What else can you do? Because the Toyotas have looked strong. They're not going to break, seemingly, although stranger things can happen. But yeah, he's going to have to do it on pace now. This is Brendan Hartley's view, and we're still getting improved sectors. We're getting a personal best lap out of LMP2 Malte Jakobsen last time on new boots. So Molina leads, Hartley second. The gap Brendan Hartley to Pierre Guidi, 13.2 seconds. So that's what we need to start monitoring now.
Exactly. The car number 8 crew, I would say as a whole, have driven an impeccable race. So I've been really impressed with their approach. I think they've known when to push hard in the race, when to conserve slightly. Brendan Hartley here around the outside. He'll go with the Corvette, pinch it back in, and you're looking in the mirror through that corner, by the way, to check the rear of the car. We've seen a few clashes there, haven't we, earlier on? So how the Iron Dames car actually got taken out. And you've got to check the rear of the car all the time. It's calculated risk every step of the way.
Because you're in that invidious position, aren't you? Of needing to push, but needing to be careful. And you don't win races by being careful, sometimes. Let's just listen in again on number 8.
We've gone down on the 9-3 to try. It's great. I have very low energy cost.
Yeah, so still complaining about the need for fuel lifts. And yeah, where is that coming? Is it the fact that he can't recharge enough? Because that's all part of your energy quota, of course. When we get that energy graphic up, it's combined electrical and the fuel that actually goes into the car. It's not just the fuel that's going in. And when we see it go up to 100%. So we saw last year, I think it was one of the Ferraris, not car 51, lost its the ability to regen. So the energy graphic was going down super quick because it was relying there more so on the fuel for the energy than the battery. You look down at the tyre graphics there with the 2 GT cars fighting it out. Iron Dames on the left, 15-lap-old medium. So yeah, equal fight there with the 17-lap-old tyres on the Lexus. And look at the bonnet of the Lexus.
Yeah, I was going to say damage for Jack Hawksworth. So as he hits something, you can hardly see on that side, at least. The camera can't see. It's a left hooker, isn't it, that car? Jack Hawksworth is bringing it back. But just as it gets itself in a challenging position, either it's gone into the back or a bonnet pin has broken. And so that car is going to have to come into the pit lane, and it's going to be a relatively slow in-lap as well. I was about to suggest that there was a slight gain from Pierre Guidi over Brendan Hartley, but over by tenths of a second, nothing massive. But now it's all eyes on the Lexus, because in LMGT3, he's going to be lucky if that doesn't part company completely, and if it does rip off, it's going to do a lot of damage to the car, and he's got a lot of lap to do yet.
I just don't know how he can see where he's going. Well, it was a fair fight until he was blinded by his bonnet.
It's a left hooker, isn't it? So hopefully it's not quite as bad on that side, but he comes now down towards the chicane. So the Iron Dames Lamborghini gets away. I wonder if that's got any rear damage. Did the Lexus get into the back of that Lamborghini? We'll try and have a look as it goes through. Not showing any ill effects, is it?
No, not at the moment.
We're into the final few hours, 2.5 hours of this race, and in LMP2 you're looking strong. I don't want to tempt fate, but what do you think?
I think that is very close. So you can win and you can finish 5th or 6th. It's ever so close, you know. The level of the driver is very similar one another. Strategy is a tiny bit different, and the weather can still play his part. So I think we just keep doing what we do and maximize every single little bit you can maximize.
Tell me a little bit about tyres from LMP2, because obviously you're on the Goodyear, which is slightly different because you only have the slicks or the wets. So how does that differ for you in this category with all these different changing conditions we've had?
Yeah, it's pretty tough for the drivers because the choice you make is a choice that will impact the whole duration of the stint. If you make a choice of going full wet and it's not wet enough, then you damage your wet a lot, and if you want to keep your slicks, you struggle a lot. So it's very tricky for the drivers, especially if a driver doesn't have a lot of experience. So yeah, it was a very tricky choices to make at the beginning of the race when we had this rain coming and it was not in every single part of the track. And it was tough, and at one point we made a wrong call, but you know, that's the game, and we lost some time. So we keep playing catch up since then. We're back in the game, but he's so competitive that being back in the game, it was a loss of math.
Did it hurt your head?
Yeah. And with, you know, I've got a great team, you know, IDEX Sport, great people around me. It's not me only, it's the whole team, the drivers, everybody is playing his part, and that's what Le Mans is all about.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Right, there's the Iron Dames Lamborghini, which I think has escaped any drama from the Lexus. The bodywork at the front flapping slightly, but don't forget that got hip and shouldered off by number 4 Porsche late last night, and it is still a quick-looking car, that. The Iron Dames Lamborghini has Michel Gatting behind the wheel. Now, Brendan Hartley's last lap was a 3:31, and Pierre Guidi's last lap was a 3:30.2. That gap is coming down.
Yeah, Pierre Guidi is flying. I think the medium is probably the tyre to be on at this stage, but nevertheless, he's starting to close in on the drivers in front of him, Brendan being one of those drivers. Oh look, this is where the bonnet just detaches itself, so there wasn't any contact. It just popped up. And there he was, yeah, nowhere near the Iron Dames car when it happened. So yeah, I can't believe that the driver could actually see where he was going enough to navigate it round and actually brake in the right places and stay out of trouble. Impressive stuff.
But like I keep saying, you know, just when you think, you know, you might be on an even keel, out of nowhere something like that pops up. Quite literally in the case of the bonnet.
Exactly.
But, yeah. Oh, hello, I can't see. What's happened now?
This is just what this race does to you.
Exactly. And Jack Hawksworth, who's had great success with Lexus in America. Good to have him back and making his Le Mans debut. Good to have him back in Europe. Right, 50 leads the way. Miguel Molina, let us just eavesdrop for a moment.
Gap behind, 6.2.
Okay, don't tell me anymore. The gap behind, I'm pushing flat out. So I'm doing my best.
No problem, no problem.
It's a bit like, please leave a message next time.
Yeah, if it was the gaps extending, then yeah, oh yeah, please tell me more. But at the moment, it's gone down from 6 to 5 seconds, that last lap. You win and lose in traffic, of course, but I'd say on average, the 50's looking pretty strong as well, at least on par with that of Brendan Hartley. So basically super tight between the Ferraris and the Toyotas.
It's now about not making a mistake.
Exactly.
Or the car being reliable. There is the Lexus into the pit lane for Jérôme Policon's Acodis ASP team, ASP Autosport Promotion. And the team having moved away from Mercedes to Lexus. There, right up towards the wall, number 7 Toyota, absolutely pushing on the limit now. Jose Maria Lopez, behind is Lawrence Vanthoor, trying to make that Porsche do for him what it wouldn't do for Kevin Estre. And towards the end of the lap they come. The leader has gone by, Miguel Molina, 5 seconds to the good. His last lap was a 3:31, Hartley a 3:29. So Brendan Hartley is still pushing, despite these alarms that he's been seeing and hearing from the team, but he is getting a little bit closer because it's gone down from 6 seconds to 4.5.
It must be a bit more comforting for Brendan and the team as well, because up until that point he hadn't shown anywhere near the kind of lap times that he had previously to his last stop. So yeah, he's back on into the 29s, like you say, and matching now cars around him for pace yet again, and hence why I guess that gap's come down from the 6.2 seconds before with car 50 is now 4.7. And that's why Molina was getting a little bit edgy, wasn't he, with his engineer, because he's saying, look, I'm doing everything I can. Stop telling me the gap's coming down.
Now, in the distance there in the background, you can see the fight for third in LMP2. Vladislav Lomko for Inter-Europol competition, the winning squad from last year ahead of Cool Racing's Malte Jakobsen. And there's nothing to choose, really, between those two. It was 0.299 of a second at the last timing point. There could be a change coming up here for third in class as we go back on board to listen to Brendan Hartley and his engineer.
6 track limit, Brendan. Rain expected in 7 minutes, hitting turn 17, 18 first.
Well, that was chipper news, not track limit offence, and there's rain. Kick a man when he's down.
Yeah, what about now you've got the gap down to 4.1 seconds. You're doing great. And when it rains, that's our opportunity to strike.
Think positive, yeah. This battle for third in LMP2 continues, and intermittent rain at 13:46 between Arnage and the Porsche curves, the part of the circuit you've just looked at, those LMP2 Oricas around here. This is where it's expected to hit first. Nice high-speed part of the circuit.
Yeah, add to level 2 intensity as well. I don't know what the increments are or what the scale is, but 2 sounds like enough to me.
Yes.
That will do the job.
I've not seen it go to 3, so I'm assuming 2 is the highest, and therefore that'll do. That's enough.
Exactly.
Stop there. Yeah.
We have seen cars running around on wet tyres at level 2, so that's all we can deduce from that.
Yes, it's Mermaid's flannel, that's all you need to know. Out of the Ford chicane, Vladislav Lomko just being able to hang on to the place. Malte Jakobsen, the very highly regarded Malte Jakobsen, he's right there behind him as he goes on the attack. They go over the timing line now towards turn 1. Jakobsen, who's won the LMP3 class in the European Le Mans Series, Peugeot development driver, closing up onto the tail of Lomko, another single-seater convert from Formula 4 and the Euro Formula Open, Formula 3 style cars. He's good through the traffic.
Oh, and that was lucky, really, that the Porsche, the Manthey Porsche, had seen them coming. He let one through, tried to turn in, then at the last minute saw another one, so very well avoided there.
Now, another report we have about the rain translates Class 2 to heavy. That is what the forecast says, and here comes the change, possibly, for third in LMP2. Remember, it's the same car and engine, so it's going to be down to the real bravery of Malte Jakobsen. He's in the wheel tracks, gets a run, gets the toe down towards that first chicane. Lomko goes defensive, covers off the inside line. Jakobsen darts to the outside at the last moment. Can he drive all the way around the outside? No, he gets level, and then has to think better of it, unless he can get the undercut coming out of the chicane.
Yeah, he's done exactly that. He's got that undercut there, which is going to propel him onto this straight and once again into the slipstream. So you will get closer by the time you come into the second chicane. You've got to look to the inside, though. That's why he didn't want to give up hunting down the inside, but he gave the game away too early. So maybe next time he's got to think about setting him a bit more of a dummy than that. So yeah, not going to have a pop down the inside, is he? Gets closer on the brake, but doesn't think about it.
Maybe the moves at Mulsanne, and he wants to make sure that he doesn't lose any time here. So he exits as close as he possibly can, gets back into the wheel tracks, gets into the slipstream, and let's see if he's going to be near enough by the time they get down towards Mulsanne corner. Still Lomko just ahead. This is the third and fourth Inter-Europol competition versus Cool Racing within LMP2, which we haven't had, of course, in other rounds of the FIA WEC this year, but grandfathered back into Le Mans, boosted the entry, and gives us another great battle to look for. And still, Jakobsen unable to unsettle Lomko and make a move.
Yeah, really impressed with this young Dane. This could be a proper star of the future here, Jakobsen. And obviously, you know, this whole generation inspired by Tom Christensen and his 9 Le Mans victories, no doubt. So great to see young drivers attracted to this category, to this championship, and yeah, particularly this race at Le Mans.
Denmark's a bit like New Zealand, small country, and yet has produced a lot of really good drivers over the years.
Exactly. You got Nicholas Nielsen in the Ferrari as well. You got Fred Vesti also in the LMP2 category. And I know there are more, but my brain's a bit tired. I'm sorry, but I know there are more of you.
There ain't nothing like a Dane. Right, the rain is coming. It's getting heavier, we understand, at turn 15. So the drivers shortly are going to have to start being just that little bit more cautious. That said, there are people having a last hurrah in the drive, if you like, and doing a personal best lap. Matt Campbell has been one of them. Sean Galile, another, who's lost his LMGT3 class lead now to Richard Lietz.
You'll see that Jakobsen's rain lights are now turned on. They're flashing away. That's what that represents. And yeah, so they've all been told by race director to now basically the track is declared wet, so turn your rain lights on. Not that you'd want to put the wet tyres on just yet, but I'm sure it is definitely coming that way.
2 hours and 15 minutes to go. That is all. Still a Grand Prix in a bit, but it doesn't sound a lot in the context of the 24 hours that we faced almost this time yesterday. Over the timing line goes that LMP2 battle. The class being led by Nolan Siegel for United Autosports ahead of Rached de Geras for IDEC Sport. And then this is your fight for third place in class. The lead gap, by the way, overall, Molina to Hartley down again, 3.9 seconds last time through. And then you've got Alessandro Pierguidi behind, lapping quicker last time than the two ahead. First to third, 15 seconds, 15.7.
This is where Jakobsen was pretty quick through Tetra Rouge last time around. But I think he's a little bit further back, possibly. But again, a good exit, though. So he's doing something right in Tetra Rouge. And he is starting to get closer and closer to the Inter-Europol car. Stays to the outside this time. And is he at the last moment going to duck to the inside? Very different scenario to last time around. He's flashing him and go duck to the inside. Oh, he's got it covered anyway, but he's going to have to rethink this one, is Melter.
It's great racing between the two, isn't it? And they're not that far behind slower class traffic. In less than a minute, it is predicted, the rain will arrive at the Porsche curves. They might hit it on this lap. And Louis Beckett from the pit lane is telling us that wet tyres are being prepared at Cadillac, at Jota, the Hertz Team Jota Porsche, so wets are on standby. Rain is forecast, and when it strikes, it's meant to be heavy, so the teams are set, they're ready.
They are ready. You've got to be ready. I still don't think, it's anywhere near putting them on just yet, and the lap times would suggest that the slicks are still definitely the right tyre to be on. They've lost a little bit of lap time. They've gone from the 29s and the low 30s. The majority of them are all sort of 31s, 32s now. So the rain is falling, and Louise she's in our ears again. I don't know if you want to come in, Louise. I don't know if you can do that, but
I think she's heading this way to get out of the rain. In the meantime, here you've got the Richard Lietz, Sean Galile battle for the class lead in LMGT3. Porsche around the outside in replay. And Sean Galile, another former single-seater racer in the end, has to give way. What Richard Lietz doesn't know about driving Porsches isn't worth knowing. And it puts the Manthey EMA entry into the class lead. Right, Ferrari have got wet standing by for the 50-51 entries. The pit lane, when this rain strikes, is going to be a hive of activity, but it kind of depends also now on where your car is around the racetrack, doesn't it? Because if the rain starts, for example, and you are at turn 1, then you've got to do a whole lap before you can come in and get wet tyres, whereas if the rain comes and you're coming into the Porsche curves, you can go to the pit lane and get those wets on much sooner.
Yeah, absolutely. It really does depend on where you are. And
that's a sorry side.
Yeah, that is a sorry. No one likes to see the garage doors going down at Le Mans for AF Corse.
Yeah, they deserve better really than that result, didn't they? After the way that Kubica and Schwarzman and Yefe had gone last night, they deserve better than a non-finish, that's for sure.
Yeah,
right.
I can't work out. It looked to me like it was a severe amount of brake smoke coming off. It wasn't the front motor that had suddenly.
I think Martin said it was an electrical blackout, and therefore they just had to leave the car because they didn't know what it was. And let's go on board number 50 Ferrari just quickly.
Okay, we expect rain, significant rain from Indianapolis to the pit lane. Significant rain from Indianapolis to the pit lane.
Okay, so what do you want me to do?
You advise us, it's gonna get worse, it's gonna get worse. If it's already too bad, we box this lap, otherwise we wait the next one.
It's so hard to know. That's basically the engineer in a roundabout way asking him, or to tell him about the conditions on the track. I'm giving you the information on the radar. You, Tim, tell me about the conditions on track. And at the moment, Miguel sounds like he's okay with the track being like this on the slicks. We've seen many times through this race already. Once you've got that temperature in the slicks, they can hang on to a bit of grip for quite some time. But there's a definite cliff of drop-off when the track gets too sodden with water, and then suddenly you're in trouble.
And the reports we're getting is, last night, it's one section of the circuit, not all of the lap, one section. So what do you do? Do you go onto wets for this bit or stay on slicks for all of that over there?
I'll tell you what would be a really good tyre to have in those kind of conditions, an intermediate tyre, but
we don't. Great idea.
Don't have those, do we?
Quite.
Shame. I can say that. No, I'm not driving, by the way.
Well, it's certainly going to throw yet another curveball at the teams for this last 2 hours and 10 minutes. Right, Cadillac in. So that is number 2, which Alex Lynn had taken over.
Now, this is a scheduled stop. He's done his 12 laps, so he's in. What do you do with tyres? Do you keep these on? If the wets are lurking in the background, ready to go on.
But the rain really hasn't amounted to anything at all yet, but
wets are going on the LMP2 car in front, indeed. So I'm sure we're going to see this happen as well, because you might as well, if you feel like this rain is definitely coming, you can survive with only 2 hours left to go of the race. You don't want to go crashing your car right now. It would be such a heartbreaking thing to do. And B, you might as well, while the car is stopped at this stage on a scheduled pit stop, slap a set of wets on.
And if you're Cadillac, you might as well roll the dice, because on pure pace, as you've been saying, you're not going to win. So this could be what gives you the victory or a good result. You've nothing to lose.
It might have been what Rob Bell was seeing in his crystal ball.
Right, wets on, Cadillac goes.
It's only spitting and spotting with rain in the paddock at the moment, so...
That's not what Louise said.
Well, she's not outside our commentary box, is she? And she doesn't like rain, doesn't like it at all. But the radar does show heavier rain coming, not as heavy as before, but it does show more heavy rain arriving.
Chief Technical Officer for Lamborghini, and of course this is your first outing this year in hypercar. What was behind it in Le Mans?
Yeah, this is, first of all, I'm super excited. You know, to see all the fans. It's a high level of competition. To be here for the first time with Lamborghini as this iconic brand is for sure a dream is coming true. Because, you know, when I was young, I was also here as a fan. And now to be on this part, it's really incredible. And coming back to your question, for sure, it's a learning year for us. We have to be realistic. But nevertheless, to be still in the race after this time, it's incredible. I'm super happy.
And what is it about, why did you want to be part of this? Not just Le Mans, but hypercar?
Because it's one of the biggest challenge that you can have in motorsport at the moment. And it's also with the hybridization, it's also fitting to our street strategy. So we're hybridizing also our street portfolio. So it's fitting perfectly. It's a high-level competition, and we want to take the challenge.
And it's also going well in the GT3 category for you as well.
Yeah, to be honest, also with the Iron Dames, it's also a super cool program, to be honest. The car looks super nice, to be honest. We really cross our fingers because we have still a time to run. And let's hope for a good result.
We're really pleased to have you with us. Thank you.
Thank you. Enjoy. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Sorry, I could see everything going on.
So the road is still wet, and as the cars then make the run once more down towards the Ford chicane, in comes number 8. So Brendan Hartley from second place for the pit road. And also Ferrari number 50 comes into the pit lane. We understand there's a driver change due as well there to relieve Miguel Molina. There is the Ferrari, of course, ahead of the Toyota as he has been for that stint. So no change there, of course. Down the pit road it comes.
So Molina in car 50, he only achieved 7 laps in this stint. So this isn't scheduled, this stop. This is because of the rain.
Yeah.
Also for Pierre Guidi, he's on 9 laps. So yeah, that's how Caddy have, because they were so out of sync, that's how they're on their scheduled stop. Now they're on the correct tyre for the conditions.
2, 8 and 5 were the 3 cars that were out of sync with the others. from various weather-related incidents and so on. So now, again, this resets the field. 2 hours and 6 minutes. Basically, we've got a Grand Prix to run, and everybody is in for wet weather tyres, and they will all take fuel. So that will reset the whole field. Our top dozen cars who were previously in the same sector of the track.
They can't get the gun on, car 8.
Come on!
Oh, finally they're there, but big time lost. So, having looked so strong this morning, number 8 Toyota losing valuable time, and you can't afford to do that. Just as we were saying, at this point, it's all about not making errors, having reliability, and out of nowhere, Toyota in trouble.
Oh no, there's an unsafe release, surely.
It is. Be a penalty.
Well, he's let him go. He's let the LMP2 car go, but it might be too late because it had been released.
It was unsafe.
But the P2 car had to jam the brakes on as well.
Right, so 50 has a question mark.
They had, well, it's not a question mark, that's a definite. It was absolutely, even the mechanic even had, the lollipop guy had the board in front of the car, literally trying to stop the car with the board, and the car went anyway.
Oh.
Massive mistake.
They got away with that technical infringement reprimand. Let's see what's in the system for that.
That's Nick Nielsen, who left in the 50 Ferrari.
If the board's down, you don't go.
So this puts Lawrence Vanthoor into the lead for the moment, having not come in this time. And let's just have a quick listen to number 8 Toyota. No, we won't. We'll do something else for a moment. 7 comes out of the Dunlop chicane, so 7 still Jose Maria Lopez at the wheel.
Now, 7th and 8th, Oliver Rasmussen in the 38 Toyota, and Matt Campbell last to stop of the cars that are on the lead lap. Now, all the rest are going to be relevant, but not immediately relevant to this battle. So it's the cars on the lead lap. Lawrence Vanthoor yet to stop for wets. That's why he cycled to the top, but there's the 38 Hertz Team Toyota car back out of the pit lane, or before he came into the pit lane, that must be then at Mulsanne corner, Oliver Rasmussen. So how long can Lawrence Vanthoor stick it out?
And how wet is it anywhere other than the Porsche curves on our section of the circuit? If it's so dry elsewhere and the slicks still work, he might be content to brave it out.
Well, Vanthoor anyway is on lap 10 out of 12. So, yeah, he's only got 2 laps to stick it out, and then he's basically on target for a scheduled stop.
The stint's done.
Last lap for Lawrence Vanthoor, 3:55. Now, that's a pretty decent dry weather time.
Right, now this rain, look, on the Mulsanne straight, the initial report was that it was going to be from Arnage round to the end of the lap, so it's affecting more of the circuit, so there's more wet, a greater spread of the circuit is wet, and the rain, we're being told when it came, was going to be heavy, so there is a wetter track and greater amounts of a wetter track for the drivers to contend with now.
Yep.
We finally had a level, didn't we? We saw level 2 on our boards, and then we heard from the engineer it's going to be intense. So that basically level 2 means intense.
Well, level 2 means rain. Level 1 is sort of the sprinkly drops. Level 2 is light rain. Level 3 is heavy rain. I'm not quite sure what call Noah and get the toolbox out is, but it's definitely more than level 2. Slippy surface flags being shown obviously by the marshals, those are the red and yellow striped flags. You can see that as the cars are coming out of Tertre Rouge. And in fairness, it doesn't matter how dry it is around the rest of the circuit, it only needs to be just a bit too wet at one spot for Lawrence Vanthoor and the number 6 Porsches in the barriers, and that's all it's going to take. This is a whoever blinks first is out of the race 2-hour window. You cannot have a mistake. Yeah, look at the spray coming off the tyres.
There is so much wet track now, that really, I would have thought, dictates it for Vanthoor, because he can't live out on this for more than a lap, surely. It is so wet for so much of this 13-kilometre lap now.
But if he can, and if he can survive another lap, then suddenly they've crept 2 laps further on fuel than the rest of the field. It might make no difference. I'm not clever enough to know, but it might.
Number 50 Ferrari being held up in the traffic here, gets away with it.
The Ferrari cannot shut the door. Vanthoor is in, leaders in the pits. And the 50 car will have to come in. You can't drive around with the door flapping. We saw in Spa that the 99 Proton Porsche behind the safety car took Neil Jarni 3 or 4 laps to eventually manage to slam the door, and unfortunately the 50 Ferrari's radio message is a bit, how can I say this,
fruity, blur
for this time of day. Yes, it's a little bit colourful, so that is the message. And let's go on to the number 6 Porsche.
So Vantor stays behind the wheel, but he goes on to the correct tyres, if you like. 50 Ferrari battles on with the flapping door.
It's the wrong door. It's not the driver's door. It's one of the engineers has either changed the drinks bottle or something else and not closed the door from the outside.
So a stop is going to be due to sort the door problem out. Nicholas Nielsen at the wheel of the car that leads at the moment. He's got traffic ahead. And the door ajar rather than flapping open, but it's certainly not closed properly.
Yeah, traffic ahead is the least of his worries. He won't be able to reach it, even though the cockpit is so tiny. He'll have no chance at closing that. It will require a drive into the pit lane to get a mechanic to shut it.
That part of the circuit looking a bit drier, I thought, than it did a lap ago. So is this going to be as fickle, the rain, as it was last night? Yeah, the road is wet and it's greasy, but it's not the heavy rain that was being predicted. It doesn't look quite so bad now.
Look at where some of the water patches come across, though, from where the roundabouts and side roads and so on are. So water moves.
Wet there, right enough. Loads of spray, but of course with the trees hanging over different bits of the Mulsanne, bits of it will dry quicker than others, bits of it will get wetter faster than other bits.
Yeah, it's definitely in the left-hand corners, isn't it, where that side door, you'd say passenger, non-driver side door, and there's a brilliant example of it. Left-hand corner, door swings open, straight line, the aerodynamics pushes it, closed again.
Really interesting, the slow-mo shot, the way that the Ferrari is so in on the nose and yet the rear is controlled, whereas when you look at the number 6 Porsche, Kevin Estre, he's still complaining about the tail being too tail happy. You really see that the LMDH cars just slide a little bit more with the rear. And in the end, is that going to be the balance? Sebastian Buemi suiting up again.
And looking at this and thinking, OK, that might give us an even better chance.
I think that might have been Kobayashi passing on the information about car 50 to say, oh no, maybe that's what he might have been talking about.
Brendan Hartley's had a spin at Mulsanne corner, so the second place car goes around. He reverses out of harm's way, but let's see how many places, if any, are lost before he's got going again. Waits for a gap in the traffic, tries to get the car in the right direction. He's not moving yet.
No, he's looking at the marshals. He's looking for a sign from marshal scrutiny. He can't see what's coming down the straight.
Through the gravel, because he's got no lock on the car. So Brendan Hartley rallying, crossing his way back onto the circuit, and that's a very concerned Sebastian Buemi now. Yellow flags then down at Mulsanne corner. They'll go in a moment because the Toyota is moving again, but a big amount of time lost. Let's see how he did it. Was there contact?
There was.
With 51 Ferrari then. So Alessandro Pierguidi up the inside. Another one maybe for the race control building.
Well, there was contact and somebody went round. Anthony, was that Brendan being ambitious?
Let's have a look from this shot.
Oh, it wasn't Brendan being ambitious, was it?
Hold on. Cause of contact, car 51.
Yep.
That's how the stewards will look at that.
I can't say no. Can't say no.
Let's listen to number 8 Toyota then. A very annoyed Brendan Hartley, no doubt.
Head down, mate. Any damage to the car?
Short and sweet, wasn't it? Brendan Hartley cracks on.
Buemi cannot believe it. Cannot believe it.
2 hours to go at Le Mans and intense drama. The pressure building. Let's put this in perspective. When Roger Penske's teammate Pedro Rodriguez claimed pole position for their Ferrari in 1963, Penske's last pole here, it was one of 23 cars in the entire race. We've got 23 in hypercar alone these days.
Okay, Brendan, still P6, still P6. Head down.
And of the 23 cars that started in 1963, 12 made it to the end.
And we've nearly got that many on the lead lap, never mind making it to the end. Right, so Brendan Hartley is now 6th after that spin, and 51 Ferrari. Alessandro Pierguidi leaving absolutely nothing on the table. Another savage twitch in the wet as he tries to get through the traffic. It's heart-in-mouth stuff everywhere at the moment, on track and up and down the pit lane. So Ferrari 1-2, but with a question mark surely over number 51.
So at this stage, you'd have to say 23 seconds behind the two Ferraris is Jose Maria Lopez. I feel we've got some penalties coming Ferrari's way. Might look a bit better for Toyota car number 7 anytime soon.
So 50 is the one we wait to find news of for that unsafe release. 51 we await news for the contact on number 8. So both Ferraris may well find themselves with penalties. May.
Yeah, may do indeed. Everybody now on the right tyre, and I suspect in LMP2 and GT3 that will be the case as well. Not sure anybody is really keen on plugging out this. And the lead group, gentlemen, is as close and as large now as in any time in the last 10 or 20 years. If you had a dozen cars battling for supremacy, separated by a second here and a couple of seconds there, and all within the same section of the track, you'd be going, what an epic start to the race. This is 2 hours from the end.
And launching over the curb there, 51 Ferrari, then a Pierre Guidi. Yeah, if you want an example of how hypercar works, then the evidence is in that. But also, Martin, the level at which the teams operate now, because those amateurish days of so many unreliable cars, that's gone. Of course, it's progress, it's technology, but the level at which they're operating, flat out all the way, not just getting to the end, flat out all the way through as well.
Because the cars don't brake. You have to brake them.
And by the way, sorry, back to current race, number 50, what's happening with their door flapping around?
They're waiting until they get a penalty for unsafe release and do it at the same time, although I don't think they can.
Then you can combine the two. Maybe if they can just keep it going until the next pit stop, they can address it then. Until race control want them in, unless they get a black and orange meatball flag to say you've got a problem, the scrutineer wants you in to solve it. If they're happy with the car's pace, leave it out there.
Well, it's nothing to do with pace, it's safety. The door needs to be closed. And we saw that in just the last race in Spa, in the World Endurance Championship in Spa. Neil Janney, the car 99, the door was on the behind the safety car. The door was flapping around. Driver desperately trying to close it and keep it closed, and he got the black and orange flag.
Well, let's see where the one comes.
Ignored
here.
it. He ignored the flag and actually managed to close the door. And was still in trouble. They were talking about how we connect the door when it comes in. You see that down at Ferrari. So they're concerned by it.
But once they've got a plan, they might call him in. Let's see what happens. First of all, number 7 Toyota, Jose Maria Lopez, third.
Okay, Jose, do you need more TC support? More TC support questions?
No, for the moment I think it's okay.
Copy.
I actually feel that Jose Maria Lopez is the more kind of difficult the car is to drive. He's one of those drivers. He was a master of touring car. Well, you know better than anyone, David, wouldn't you? Jose Maria Lopez's capabilities in an edgy touring car. The more he does rallying. He does stock car racing back home in Argentina. He loves wrestling the car around. I feel like the wetter it is here for Jose Maria Lopez, the better.
Well, the other thing was the radio message when the car got its second puncture. What's going on with these punctures? They have not forgotten when they were brought in twice because there was a low-pressure tyre alarm apparently on the telemetry in the garage, and that allowed Fernando Alonso to win his second Le Mans. That was the paranoia. What's going on with these? Do you want us to fiddle with the settings? No, I'm good. I'm probably over-reading into this, but on the other hand, there is that in the back of in the same way that when we saw Kevin Estre and Alessandro Pierre Guidi, all their thoughts go back, particularly Estre, to the season finale in GTE Pro when Pierre Guidi's car punted Estre and Christensen's Porsche out of the way and won the title. So all of that, there's still that antagonism, there's still that history. You don't forget stuff like that. Even if you think it's buried, it'll pop up. So yeah, he may genuinely be happy with the way the car is, but on the other hand, he may not necessarily want an outside force fiddling with it either.
They don't want to see us. They don't want to see what's going on here. They're working on a solution for this door.
And when they've got it, then they'll call him in. They don't want him in until they know what to do.
No, you don't want to stand there for 2 minutes. No. It still won't shut.
Right, there's number 8, Brendan Hartley, rattling over the curb again. Is it all unravelling for number 8 after being tagged into that spin? Still nothing actually has come up on the message line about either the unsafe release or that contact of the two Ferraris.
And you've always got to look at the root of the problem. Why was 51 close to him? It's because of that bad pit stop.
Yeah.
That was the root of the problem. Very similar pace as Brendan to car 51 right now. And 51 shouldn't have been anywhere near him. That dodgy pit stop really was the cause of that problem.
Let's hear from the Ferrari team as they conflab in the garage.
Big rain to come, sector 1 in 15 minutes. Big rain to come, sector 1 in 15 minutes.
Where does that fit in the intense big scale, level 2, level 1?
More than we've got at the moment, so we're not planning, level 3, 4, 5 and or above. We're not planning on bringing you in for slicks anytime soon, and also be aware that in the next 2 or 3 laps when you come past the pits, we might be warning you that it's absolutely soaking ahead of you. I'm sure it's entirely manageable for professional drivers like these in these conditions. Most of the track is probably drier than a wet would ideally like, but some of it is absolutely not slick survivable. So Ferrari 1-2, Toyota in 3rd place, Cadillac in 4th, the best of the Porsches in 5th, the second Toyota in 6th, and 3 more Porsches in the hunt. The first car that is not in the hunt but is still in a points paying position is the 63 Lamborghini. And it doesn't take much fortune with the safety car for that car. Maybe if there's a safety car to get a wave by and get its lap back.
Ferrari through in the lead. Let's eavesdrop next on the race director's radio traffic.
Team manager car 50, team manager car 50, your car has the right-hand side door open. Your car has the right side your car has the right side door open.
He is as tired as us. Now, the difference between Eduardo and us is that Eduardo does not go to sleep.
So the message relayed to the team about the door, so they need to get on and address it.
Rob, 2 hours to go, it's extremely close. We just saw an incident with the Ferrari, it has to be kept clean.
Correct. Can't say more. It was a close fight. They were very close to each other, but I thought there was a clear contact between the 51 and our 8. Not for me to decide, not for me to judge, so up to those who should keep it a clean race.
But 2 hours to go and it's completely open.
It is open, the weather conditions are changing, and yeah, let's get fair racing and see where we go. It is tight and it will stay tight.
Thank you very much, good luck.
Good.
Yeah, that is Rob Loycon from Toyota Gazoo Racing, and it doesn't need to be any wetter to be a problem, does it? That's the moment just during that interview that the 51 Ferrari of Alessandro Pierguidi just squirreled over the gravel exiting the final chicane.
And what that's allowed is Jose Maria Lopez to catch right up. He's now just 8 tenths behind. There he is, flashing away in the background. He's got a P2 car in the way as well. They're in the mix of it.
Yeah, that's the 22 United Autosports car, Ollie Jarvis leading in LMP2. The car behind him is not for position. DKR's car is 2 laps behind the leader. But in LMP2, we've got a super tight battle. Ollie Jarvis 23 seconds ahead of Ben Barnicoat in the AF Corsa Pro-Am leading car, who's 3 seconds ahead of EDEC Sports' Rached de Giros.
So rain is coming, we need to keep this Toyota behind, The car 50 in front of us have an issue with the door of the car, so we need to keep this Toyota 7 behind us.
I try my best.
I know, but there might be a big reward at the end of that. So do your best, that's the main goal, keep them behind.
And that next rain, when it comes, is, we are told, going to impact turn 1 all the way round to the exit of Marshall's Post 9. So the first part of the lap, heading really, from the first corner all the way around Tertre Rouge. So a different element of the racetrack to get wet first.
Yeah, Jose is absolutely flying it, as we said before, loving these conditions. Pierre Guidi has his mirrors full now of car 7. And that moment, I think, rattled Pierre Guidi on the exit of the final corner as well, as we saw him kicking up all the gravel.
Let's go to Cadillac next. Listen to number 2, Alex Lynn.
More rain expected in 15 minutes. 15 minutes.
The right plate just fell off.
Understood, Alex. Understood, Alex. Just focus. Just focus. You can do this.
Wiper blade just fell off. All right, well, at speed, less of a drama because the speed drives the water off the windscreen. And yeah, just get on with it, just focus. But there's the heavier rain just gone past. There's a little bit lighter maybe coming in behind, but we'll have to wait and see exactly what happens.
It's game on though, isn't it now, for second place? Pierre Guidi versus Lopez. The gap as they come over the line then is just under 0.4 of a second. And the way that Lopez is going suggests that Pierre Guidi is going to have to work very, very hard indeed to fend him off. That Toyota looking very quick indeed up the inside into the Dunlop chicane. They lean on each other. The Ferrari just about makes the corner. Toyota tries to get the undercut, can't do it. That could have ended a lot worse than that. It's still the Ferrari ahead, and now they're hunting for traction as well as both desperately trying to be in second place.
Clean racing, that's what your boss said, Jose. Clean racing.
Don't forget, this is the Toyota that inside the last 10 laps has set the fastest lap of the race of any car. So yes, Jose Maria Lopez is fired up and ready to go for the win.
And Alessandro Pierre Guidi, which we've seen with this fight with Kevin Estra and all the other fights he's had for that matter, in any other class he's been in, he will turn in on you. You have to be ahead of him before you get to the corner, and he pops to the outside. Make sure you get this braking zone correct, Jose, and he is in front and gets the job done into that corner.
And that's
brilliant stuff.
Great stuff. They're on the same age wet weather tyres, aren't they? For the benefit of Karun Chandok and everybody else who's yelling at the TV, how many laps until 50 needs to pit? It's only halfway through the stint, isn't it? So,
where in the rain it changes, obviously. They can do 12 in the dry, so at a guess, I'm going to say 14 in the wet.
And he's done, what, 7? 8 now? So a while still, so they might have to fix the door before they can combine it with a pit stop.
Jose's done 6 laps.
Team manager car 50, team manager car 50. If your driver cannot close the door, bring the car in to repair. It's a safety element. Team manager car 50. If the driver cannot close the door, bring the car in. It's a safety element.
So Nicholas Nielsen, the race leader, being called to the pit lane. They've got to sort out that door, and they need to then somehow create that pit stop into damage limitation, so they can try and exploit it in some vein.
And can you try to close the door? Can you try to close the door? Otherwise, we have to pit.
I cannot, mate. Give me one more lap. I try, but I honestly cannot.
Okay, let's try again. Next straight.
He's trying. You can tell he's trying there.
He can reach it.
He can reach that as he had to undo his seatbelts to reach over there.
But they've got that side intrusion panel all the way down the centre of the cockpit. So somehow he's either reaching under it or over it. It hasn't closed yet. It hasn't latched.
Just like the Porsche at Spa.
And again, in the full access programme at Spa, there's the film from the garage of them trying to brief the driver of what to do, which bit to pull to get it to close.
And I cannot. I tried to pull, I tried to push, I tried everything. I think, yeah, the flick is open. I cannot reach it.
So does he come in this time to get it closed? Let's see. Yes, he's in this time.
Leader is in.
Just as he got the black and orange flag.
Yeah.
Well, it had been a kind of verbal flag, hadn't it, from the race director, Eduardo Freitas, to say you've got to bring the car in. So, have they had enough time to conjure up a magic fix? Let's find out.
Or are they just going to lean on the door and click it shut? It might be as simple as that, but it does mean that Toyota leads Le Mans with 1 hour and 42 minutes to go. Now, I was going to make a point, so I can't remember what it was. Carry on.
It was about gaffer tape. Is it going to be gaffer tape?
It was about things that we've been notified by race control, or rather things that we have not. No word yet about an investigation of an unsafe release for car number 50. No word yet about an investigation of contact between 51 and 8 that caused the number 8 car to spin. So, that's what it was. It hadn't quite, the latch to catch the door had not quite slid back out, and it didn't close. And normally you'll see the mechanics push the door and then just lean on it to click it in, so they feel that contact, not so it's a slam, but so it's a click.
And it was, remember, the car had to be in that pit stop. Originally it had to be turned on the jack, on the trolleys, on the dollies underneath it. They had to point the nose out before they pulled away, and then they obviously missed it in that moment. Whatever happened in getting the car angled in the pit, they missed closing the door properly.
Right.
And also, in that confusion, the driver went too early and didn't remember to acknowledge the lollipop. It was a disaster, basically, all because it wasn't a completely standard pit stop.
Upside, downside. Downside, lost the lead down to 5th. Upside, has more fuel than anyone else. And that might make no difference whatsoever, but it's something on which to build a campaign. So now they recalculate back from the end of the race where they are, when their last stop will be.
We are P5 at the moment, P5. The lead is not far, mate. The lead is not far. We can do this. You have mega pace in the wet. You can do this.
Yeah, mate, I know I can do it. I know I can do it. Just let me do it. Just give me necessary information and nothing else.
Will do.
So that pit stop became damage limitation, didn't it?
Leave me alone. I know what I'm doing.
100%. Let me focus on this. I've got an hour and 40 minutes to win this race, and we're coming from behind, but we might just have something, and those extra few laps of fuel might be something. And on the pit lane, in every team,
that's the replay of that drama up at turns 2 and 3 that we saw a moment ago. That's 51 against 7. The only other thing that might be the fly in the ointment for number 50 is the unsafe release. As you say, that's not yet filtered through the system, but to counter that, of course, there's the incident with number 8 on the sister car.
Number 7 lost a flick up there. Did you see that as well? So if this race were to dry up again, they'll be having a potentially understeery balance.
And more drag if it comes to trying to save an extra lap on fuel. Well, there was the pass that put number 7 in front of 51 at that stage for second place, but the Toyota team already knew that 50's door wasn't closing, and that's why 51, Alessandro Pierguidi, was being told, keep the Toyota behind. He couldn't, but he tried.
And now Lopez is 7 seconds to the good over Pierguidi. So he's caught him, he's passed him, he's pulled away. This car's third, the Cadillac then of Alex Lynn, up into third spot.
Every team on the pit wall now knows where 50, with those couple of laps of extra fuel, will end up compared to them. They all know what we don't, whether they will need to stop one time more than 50 or whether it makes no difference, whether it doesn't give them enough to get there.
Yeah, if the Ferrari, for example, needed a splash at the end of the race, if they all needed a splash of fuel by the end of the race to complete it, for example, well, they might have just got that splash out of the way in fixing the door at the same time.
But if they all need 7 laps, based on when they last stopped, then it's not enough. If they need 5 laps, it might be enough. If they need 2 laps more, it is enough.
But it's all hypothetical anyway, because with more rain coming down, you could have any scenario playing out. We could have another safety car, we could have multiple slow zones, you name it. This is not over yet.
Well, the real worry is that we might end up with a safety car, and that could really just be quite a tough end to the race, because it will cram everybody together in all the categories.
It's raining more.
It is raining more.
And that Cadillac is lapping quicker than Pierguidi ahead by last time 1.8 seconds. So Alessandro Pierguidi being caught by Alex Lynn. He's chipping away. He's getting closer and closer and closer. You were saying this was a non-starter earlier on, but he's still in the mix, that Cadillac. Don't rule him out. I know you said earlier on he hadn't got the pace, but he's creeping back into the mix, partly through others' misfortunes, I'll grant you, but
No, they're faster in the rain than they were in the dry.
Number 12, Callum Islet in 7th, is catching number 8, Brendan Hartley in 6th. Number 5, the Porsche of Matt Campbell, is catching Callum Islet in the number 12 car. So these gaps are coming down. And how much closer is 38's Oliver Rasmussen? Well, Rasmussen was a couple of seconds slower than Matt Campbell, so he dropped behind Campbell on that last lap by a fraction more. But there is still nothing in terms of that. Obviously, you know, a second or two around a 13.6 kilometre lap. It's insane how tight this is, given how much traffic there is still circulating.
This intensity of rain is due to last for another 20 minutes.
And in race control, they're looking at earlier incidents as well, which might well filter through, just to throw another spanner into the works. 96 minutes of the race remain, that is all. Toyota leads, Ferrari leads Cadillac. The best Porsche is 4th, Toyota 5th, Porsche 6th, which is the Jota car of Callum Islet. There is the better Porsche from Penske. It is Lawrence Vanthoor at the wheel of it. And even the change of conditions not really helping, because still he is not lapping on the same pace as those ahead. And not that far behind, look, is a very fired up Nicholas Nielsen, who is on an absolute mission now to see what he can salvage out of this race.
Yeah, he was holding the gap earlier on, wasn't he, when Jose was behind him. He wasn't pulling away, but Lopez definitely wasn't catching him. So, yeah, he's going to have to dig extra deep, I feel, is Nielsen, if he's to actually close in on car 7.
Track temperature remains 17.2 degrees, down from the heady heights of 17.6 before it started to rain.
Oh, these winter meetings, great.
And yes, I know. The plum pudding
yes,
24
exactly.
hours. And for the poor fans, it's back down to 15 degrees and 100% humidity because it is raining. So apparently that's not quite 100% humidity when the air is full of water, but there we go. Car 38, Oliver Rasmussen, under investigation for track limits at turn 12, which is the exit of the first chicane. So we are still getting notifications of drivers being investigated for things, but no notification of a potential unsafe relief for the 50 Ferrari or about the contact between the 51 and the 8. And normally we are informed that there is an investigation before we're then informed of the result of that investigation. So does that mean that there is no investigation into either of those?
If you were Toyota,
moments?
you would bring them to the attention of race control, wouldn't you? You would say, have you looked at this? Can I just suggest, could I ask you to have a look?
I'm sure on the Discord all those conversations are happening.
Exactly. They might not be being relayed to us, but I'm sure they are happening.
Who wants to hear some average lap times?
The race control team busy enough.
I would love to know who's got good speed.
Car 7, average lap time in this stint of 8 laps so far, 3:52.5. Brendan Hartley, car 8, 3:54.7.
Ooh.
Alex Lynn, car 2, 3:54.3. Pierre Guidi, 51, did a 3:55.8. He's really struggling. Nick Nielsen averaged a 3:52.9. Exactly the same. Well, a little bit slower actually than Jose Maria Lopez. So yeah, Nielsen the second fastest one out there, and Laurent Vanthoor, by the way, 3:52.9 as well. So Vanthoor this stint has caught up with Alex Lynn.
Right, first there were 9, now there are 8. Hertz Team Jota's number 38 seems to be being removed from the equation. Why, Martin? Because Oliver Rasmussen has just been given a drive-through penalty for excessive abuse of track limits, and that will take him far enough out of the hunt, although he probably won't lose the lead lap, that he is unlikely to be a contender. However, a safety car would change all of that. Even for a couple of laps, it would make a difference. Look at the cool racing car skating off the corner. That's 37, Vladislav Malte Jakobsen, being chased by Vladislav Lomko. And there's the hug that says, go get him, boy. Sebastian Buemi suited up, ready for the final 90 minutes of Le Mans 2024. Is he going to add another Le Mans victory to his tally in the number 8 Toyota, or will it be one of their 7 other rivals?
in turn 22, 9th track limit. I think we have to consider changing. We're talking to Seb now.
Sorry. They're not happy to say. How many do I get? I get up to 12, right?
I think the answer there is 12. However, so that was the 12th limit infringement for Oliver Rasmussen, not at turn 12. I thought it was just finger trouble on the keyboards when we were notified. So he's on 9 of 12. Yeah, oh, sorry, okay. And that's why they're going to put Buemi in, because Buemi is fresher, less tired, less likely to critically pick up a penalty. Because those 9 infringements don't stay with the car, they are related to the driver. So you don't immediately put Buemi in with only 3 infringements in the next 90 minutes. It will reset to 0. So there's the logic there. And again, look at this. Cool Racing into Europol. This might be for the win. 37 ahead of 34. Currently 22 United leads. AO by TF right behind is... It must be a lap down. It is a lap down on this battle. That's the pole sitting car. So Toyota lead in the hypercar. United Autosport lead in LMP2. And Vladislav Lomko moves up to 4th place in LMP2. It is Richard Leitz for Manthey EMA in a Porsche that leads in LMGT3. 91 minutes to go here at Le Mans. Yeah, whatever you're doing, do not go out.
Melter Jakobsen, yeah, this fight's been raging on for quite some time, Martin, and yeah, it's now inverted after Jakobsen found his way past in the dry earlier on, but in the rain it seems to be into Europol's got the speed. Look at the rain coming down now. Whoa. Out of this final corner.
That's the heavy rain that they were forecasting, and that is absolutely pelting.
The pressure you feel as a driver when you're in changeable conditions, you're leading the race. And yeah, Jose Maria Lopez, he's in the zone, but they've got to be on him all the time as to where the rain's coming down, how the radar looks, and he's got to be feeding information for the next driver if they do get in the car, if he's not going to stay in through to the end.
He might stay in. He's got time on his side. He won't exceed 4 hours, at least not in this stint. Interesting little cameo there. Sebastian Buemi, suited and booted. The man who finished the race for Toyota last year, Ryo Hirakawa, in the number 8 car, is clearly not going to get back in, at least not at this stage.
Lopez will have to get out, by the way. He's been in the car a long time. He can't carry on through to the end of the race.
He can do 4 hours in any 6.
He's done 1, 2, 3, 4. Yeah, I mean, it's split up because of the rain, but he's probably done about a triple stint, I'd say.
Yeah, but it's about time. It's not about how many times he stops.
Right, longer lap times in the wet. Goodbye.
Yeah. Anthony Davidson failing to answer the question. There's a racing driver for you. Maybe a future in politics as well. So we'll be joined by Rob Bell as we head into the final 90 minutes of this race. An hour and 29 minutes here on board the 311 Whelen Cadillac. I sense we're going to see it going round. It didn't take an Einstein to figure that one out, did it? He clumped the curbs in the Dunlop chicane and around it went. So Ryo Hirakawa there on the right, the man who was targeted to chase the 51 Ferrari in the closing stages last year. But Sebastian Buemi in the 8 car, he's the man who's going to take over.
I can't see anything without the wiper flick.
Yeah, he's lost his wiper blade, the number 2 Cadillac, so no effective windscreen wiper.
That's not what you want to see, it's not what you want to hear as a driver. No, absolutely not.
There, you can clearly see it, the wiper blade has gone for the number 2 Cadillac, so no weight wiper blade on that car.
It just shows you the small details we've got. Cars being put down the order because they can't shut a door, and windscreen wipers falling off. It's the smallest details that make a big difference in this race.
And sometimes it's the silly things, isn't it? You know, it's a wiper blade. What road car did it come from? What motor factors did it come from? You know, these things are not purpose-built, super design.
Trouble for the
Vector Sport
car over and out of the gravel track.
Stefan Riquelme holds on to his position. Marty Jakobsen, the next guy behind, is actually in the pits, so due to go about a lap down. There's the number 6 Porsche in 4th place. There's the caddy with the blue nose. So 3rd and 4th, there they are. Rear left puncture for the number 5 Porsche. So 38 potentially out with a drive-through penalty. Number 5 Porsche potentially out of the hunt with a puncture. So that's going to cost him time. Are we down now from 9 to 7 possible winners with 87 minutes to go? That's been a busy 5 minutes for our slight outliers, hasn't it?
Big wiggle there for the number 6 Porsche coming through. Big wiggle. These are getting increasingly difficult conditions, Rob Bell. Heavy rain behind us in the outer paddock.
Yeah, that didn't look like the car just looked lazy there when it transitioned from one side to the next. And we've seen that, you know, when these rain tyres do get a bit heated, a lot of cars squirming around there. We've seen this the whole race. Not necessarily in the Toyotas though, it's the Ferraris and the Porsches that seem to be affected the worst.
That same kind of issues, by the way, going on in GT. Iron Danes coming under increasing pressure from the second of the Proton Mustangs, Christopher Meese. Remember, hugely experienced, but a Le Mans rookie, closing on Michelle Gatting. And he's in the 44, the yellow Proton Mustang. She's in the Iron Dames, the pink and white Lamborghini for 4th place. And another Mustang ahead. What a debut for the Mustang GT3 here.
Really impressive, you know, at the moment, the 88 car in a podium position. Going to be a little bit of headphone swapping in a moment or two. We're going to hoik out one man in